Man, what a roller coaster of emotions of a football game there. I mean, I don't have much to say, honestly. I'm trying to take the positives out of this game, which I am. I definitely am. And the Packers fighting to the very end is awesome, and I love that. But man, that was a rough game to watch, especially the beginning. I mean, going down 28-0 against an NFC North division rival who start the year 3-0 with a revived Sam Darnold, it's tough to watch and it's embarrassing. There's a lot to go over from not only the first half, but the second half. Like, it was two different games. Like, Vikings outscoring the Packers 28-7 in the first half, and the Packers outscoring the Vikings 29-3 in the second half. Two completely different games, and that's why it's such a roller coaster of a game for me. But at the end of the day, and I'll start with this, and let's just get right into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's just recap this game. The Packers had 465 total yards of offense against the number one rated DVOA defense in Brian Flores, which they have a great defense. They have a great coordinator, and through the first half, I was like, wow, we can't do anything. But for them to come back, and I don't want to hear the excuse from Vikings fans, oh, it was garbage time. It's not garbage time if you only win a game by 2 points. That was a potential comeback that didn't happen because of a failed onside kick and a couple other terrible mistakes by the Green Bay Packers, which we'll get into. But, man, the Packers couldn't get out of their own damn way in this game, whether it was just gifting the Minnesota Vikings interceptions, fumbles, missed field goals, horrible penalties. I mean, they continue to kind of step on their own feet, and it's definitely a problem. But at least it is just week 4, and hopefully these things can get cleaned up. But at the end of the day, Jordan Love came back, still looked injured, in my opinion, and a lot of people might argue maybe it wasn't time to bring him back, but I still think was their best chance to win this game, and I know he threw 3 interceptions on the day he wore a Brett Favre jersey to show up to this game. I mean, he kind of asked for it, right? And he definitely threw a very Brett Favre-esque interception late in that game, that arm punt to Tay Wicks, where if you don't do that, hey, maybe you go down and score 3 and, maybe the game doesn't change. But there's so many times where you're looking at this game and you're going, well, if they didn't do that one thing, maybe this game's different. Or if they didn't miss that 2 kicks, should I say, this game would have been different. And it would have. And there's just so many mental mistakes and mistakes by the Green Bay Packers. But I also want to give massive props to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not saying the Packers only lost this game. Like, the Vikings went out there and won this game. To go up 28-0, that's hard to do in the NFL. Sam Darnold, again, super efficient, other than, the interception and the fumble, which, again, the Packers still creating turnovers, but this time turned over the ball much more. Got to give credit to the Vikings. They're 4-0 at the top of the NFC North. Hey, they beat 3 good football teams and the New York Giants. So, and I'm considering the Packers still a good football team. They're 2-2. Yeah, sure. 2 losses with their starter and 2 wins with their backup. Not something I thought I would be saying here heading into week 5. But there is a lot of positive to take out of this game. Jordan Love, 32 of 54, 389, 4 touchdowns, right? Let's just stop there. We don't have to talk about it now. 3 interceptions, right? Last one was terrible. The other 2, you could argue maybe some receiver's fault. I mean, not the first one to Christian Watson. That was a hospital ball, and Christian Watson did get hurt from it and didn't return. That was a bad decision by Jordan Love. The second one, I mean, you could argue Musgrave, it wasn't targeted for him. It was targeted for Dobbs. Musgrave tipped it, then Dobbs tipped it. I mean, 2 wide receivers / tight ends got their hand on that ball before a Minnesota Vikings defender did. So is that on Love? Maybe, maybe not. The last interception, 100% on Love, and I just don't know why he wanted to go hero ball there and go for it all when just take what they're giving you. You're driving down the field late in this second half. I mean, you're moving the ball at will, and you still did after that. I just didn't understand that decision there. After one great deep ball to Wicks, who caught it on the sideline, then you do it again when he's in coverage and gifted interception to Byron Murphy. The Packers running game, 9 for 51. Josh Jacobs, 5.7 average. Emmanuel Wilson, 8 for 27, 3.4 average. I mean, they had to go away from the run game. I think they still did a little bit early, like in the second quarter, down 14-0, first quarter, whatever it was. I think it was first quarter. They just completely abandoned it, which they shouldn't have. It was working, and there's a lot of football to be played left. And obviously, like, down 28-0 and you still make this a 2-point game. You still got to run the football, and Josh Jacobs was doing well at it, so I think they should have continued there. They kind of got off track in their original game plan. But, man, for receiving, we have a lot to talk about. Not only is Jayden Reed certified wide receiver number 1 of this football team, 7 receptions, 139 yards, and a touchdown, man. This guy continues to make play after play after play. When everything else is going wrong, you can count on Jayden Reed to boost this team up and turn it around by making an insane play. The second receiver is Dontavian Wicks. 5 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. And if you just look at that, you're like, wow, what a game for Tay Wicks. What a bounce-back game. He was targeted 13 times, and I have 4 drops counted. I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like Tay Wicks didn't have a horrible start to this game, but I'm glad that he also remained resilient, and the Packers, including Jordan Love, stuck by him. This is a scenario that does not happen under Aaron Rodgers. 1 drop, 2 drops, maybe just 1. He's not getting a target the rest of the game if it's Aaron Rodgers. So I'm glad the Packers continue to go back to him. And he scored 2 touchdowns. He started to make some plays. And I think this bodes well for the future and next couple of weeks for Tay Wicks. Whereas if they just took him out of the game after 2-3 drops, I mean, who knows if he'd be able to bounce back in the next coming weeks. So again, massive credit to Tay Wicks. You guys know how much I like him. And you see why. I think he's just having some concentration and confidence drops, and hopefully this does turn that around. This gives him that confidence boost that he very much needs. It's 5 for 78. That's an overall good game. Got that late touchdown there. Jordan Love, what a throw. Tucker Kraft, kind of the same thing, but in reverse. 6 receptions, 53 yards, a touchdown. I mean, what a play to score that touchdown to really spark this potential comeback, and then right after that 2-point conversion to bring it within only 6. But then to fumble that ball, man, I know he's trying to make a play, and I can't blame him too much, but to fumble that ball there, I mean, again, there's just so many times that we just gave this game away. And the amount of times we did give this game away, and to still only lose by 2, man, I still have a lot of confidence in this Packers team. Romeo Doubs, 4 catches, 39 yards, had a couple drops, 8 targets, 4 catches. I mean, the Packers couldn't catch a cold today. There's so many drops. Bo Melton, 1 for 28, man. Bo Melton continued to make, crazy plays, not only on that muffed punt where he recovered the ball inside the 5, but to make a really nice deep catch late in that game for 28 yards. Josh Jacobs, 4 for 27. Musgrave, 3 for 13. Still, kind of not really used in this offense too much. But what obviously hurt this Packers team was, they turned over the ball 4 times. You're not going to win many football games turning over the ball 4 times. They were +7 entering this game in turnover differential, which was first in the NFL. They were -1 today. So all things considered, to only lose this game by 2 with 4 turnovers, it's actually not that bad. And a loss is a loss. I get that. But I try to take the positive out of things. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Now flipping over to defense. Man, you go into this game, you're without Jair Alexander, you're against Justin Jefferson, you're against Jordan Addison, you're without Valentine, so you're down to Eric Stokes and Corey Ballantyne on the boundaries, and both of which led up big plays, as did Keyshawn Nixon. The early one to Addison, double move, Ballantyne gets cooked. Later in the game, Nixon on the boundary, simply didn't get his head around. Jefferson makes a terrific play. So my next point here is you're without your main 2 cornerbacks, and you're entering this game, and before this game, you're looking at Sam Darnold, and you see 127.1 passer rating when not pressured, when clean. 82.8 under pressure. What would you think you should do against Sam Darnold, who, in his past, in his career, not saying that's what he is now, does get flustered under pressure? What should you do? Should you pressure him by bringing exquisite rushes, maybe 6, sometimes 7, or should you sit back with your backup cornerbacks and rush for every single play? I'm sure all of you are saying you should bring pressure, and that's what the Packers did not do until it was too little too late. Yes, late in the game, they got some nice pressure, whether it was Quay Walker A-gap where he got a sack, or Keyshawn Nixon around the edge on the nickel blitz, which created the turnover, which really, made this a game. Yes, I love that, but too little, too late. Every single time it was 2nd and long, 3rd and long, the Packers simply brought 4-man pressure, allowing Sam Darnold to sit in the pocket for 3, 4, 5 seconds, and putting his cornerbacks at a disadvantage, having to cover 2 great wide receivers longer. It made 0 sense to me. Rashawn Gary, didn't create much pressure. Preston Smith was invisible. The only one I saw in that defensive line that really got a pressure early was Lucas Van Ness. Kenny Clark continues his awful 2024 campaign against Garrett Bradbury, where he usually destroys Bradbury, and he simply, again, I only saw him in on a couple plays here, but I don't even know if he had a pressure. I don't even know if he had many tackles. They need to get pressure. And you come off a game with 8 sacks against a given terrible Tennessee Titans offensive line, but the Vikings line isn't that much better. Yeah, they have better tackles, but their interior is not good. They are top 10, or bottom 10, should I say, in pressures allowed before this game. So how do you only end with 2 sacks? How do you only end with barely any pressure in the first half? And that's why they scored 28 points. Like, you didn't pressure them. You just let them walk down the field, nickel and dime, whatever they needed to do. Sam Darnold, you let him remain composed. And that's where he's been his best this entire season. It was a head scratcher for me. And then coming out of half, it didn't even seem like they wanted to adjust. It just reminded me of a Joe Barry defense. And I keep going back and forth. Like, week 1, not much adjustment. Week 2 and 3, decent adjustment, right? We create a lot of turnovers, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm glad it finally started to change late in the game rather than nothing. But it was too little, too late. It really was. And I just didn't understand this game plan going in. And again, our inside linebackers just getting exposed play in, play out. Quay Walker, I don't know how many times I have to say it, but he's not a Mike. Like, play him weak side downhill. Look what happened when you played him downhill, A-gap pressure. A sack happened. You know what I mean? At this rate, just put Quay at Mike, and if you put Quay at weak side, and maybe try Tyron Hopper at Mike, because Isaiah McDuffie's still not great in coverage, dropping an interception early in this game. That would completely change the outlook of this game early on. Edgerrin Cooper still making plays. He needs, again, to see the field more. I'm excited to see his snap share. Recovering that fumble on the Keyshawn Nixon strip sack was impressive, and I saw a couple other times he's kind of flying around making some nice tackles. Was very impressed with Javon Bullard down low against the run. Couple times he got into the backfield, got some stops there. And of course, Xavier McKinney. 4 interceptions through 4 games is absolutely insane, and maybe that one should have been overturned like every other catch that got overturned for the Green Bay Packers, but I'm glad we at least got one, because every other time, and sure, a lot of those were actually drops, but they were arguable. And it seemed like everything that could go wrong did go wrong with the Green Bay Packers. Every bounce that could go the Minnesota Vikings way, it did in this game. And when that happens, sometimes you're just not going to win the game. And again, I'm not taking credit away from the Vikings winning this game, because they did. But man, everything that could go wrong did go wrong with the Green Bay Packers, which moves me on my next point, the kicker. If you guys watch me, I remain patient with kickers. I try to be, and Matt LaFleur even said this, or I think it was Gutekunst said this actually, after they waived Carlson and signed Narvis, and hey, we need to be more patient with kickers. But I think that patience is expired. Man, you just can't have this. It's week 4. You try to fix it now. It just stings even more when you see Greg Joseph go 5 for 5 on Thursday. Would Greg Joseph have come into this game against his former team and hit those 2 kicks? I think so. It continues to hurt the Green Bay Packers. And there's 2 main things that just continue to hurt the Green Bay Packers week in, week out: penalties and missed field goals. You do not want both of those later in the season when it's the playoffs on the line or you're in the playoffs. So hopefully they can fix that. Will the Packers make a move at kicker? I'm not sure. I really have no idea what the Packers even do at kicker, because I can never guess it correctly. Do I think they should? Yes. And as much as Braden Narvis and I believed in him, as much as he's been great on extra points, you got to make those kicks. And that completely changes this game multiple times during that potential comeback. It completely changes this game. You can't have this. We have other kickers around the league, like Atlanta today winning it on a 58-yarder by Younghoe Koo. So many kickers around the league hitting 58-yarders, 60-yarders, and we can't even make a 33-yard field goal. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. They need to fix it. I give Mason Crosby a call at this point. I don't know, but it needs to be addressed. But overall, down your 2 corners and you hold Justin Jefferson to 85 yards on a touchdown. I think if you hold him under 100 yards without your top corner, that's a success, I guess. Aaron Jones had a great game. I'm so glad he didn't get into the end zone late in that game. 22 for 93 on the ground, 4 for 46 through the air. Sam Darnold, again, efficient, 20 of 28. 275, 3 touchdowns, an interception, 123.4 rating, just right around that mark of his rating before this game when he wasn't pressured, because he wasn't pressured much. So, of course, he's going to have a rating of around 123, right? it just baffles me, and it infuriated me the entire game. I was putting out tweets. I was like, if I see another 4-man rush on 3rd and 12, I'm going to lose it. And I still saw it again and again and again. It made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. The Packers need to do something differently in terms of pressure. Send more. Do what Brian Flores does. Disguise it. Bring everyone up on the line. Show cover 0, then back off, or do the opposite, right? There's not enough disguising happening, and we need to make the opposing offenses think a little bit more. So that's my recap. Still giving away a Jordan Love jersey. Thank you to Sleeper. I'm going to put the link down in the description. Sign up on Sleeper. Use code BASS. First time deposit. You'll be entered in that giveaway. That ends tomorrow. So make sure to enter in on that giveaway. Seriously, guys. It'll be from Packers Pro Shop, NFL Shop, size of your choice, home or away, shipped directly to you if you win. But I appreciate you guys coming by to the channel. Hey, there's a lot of bad in this game. There definitely is. But I think there is some positive. There's definitely some positive to take out to go, only lose this game by 2. And I hate to use that term, only lose, but it is impressive. They did remain resilient, and I got to give them credit for that. It just didn't fall their way in the very end. But I appreciate you guys coming by. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack, go.